And now I would like to give the floor to Laura Gavinelli, who will share with us the workflow of the project. So the journey that we have done since the kickoff meeting at the beginning of March. And so what are the outputs and where we are going in the coming months. So Laura, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Angela. Good morning, everybody. I listened to the first two interventions with great interest, and I found that they introduced the core of our project in a very, very effective way. And I hope to give the right echo to what you just said. Let me share the screenshots, the display. Can you see it?
Yes.
Yes, okay, wonderful. I'm not so sure I will have enough time to show you all the slides I prepared, but in any case, just to give you the general update of the workflow, while the second part of the project devoted to the platform will be illustrated by Fabio Fraticelli in a second presentation. So for the moment, we start here with the general goal of the project, which is about digital transformation and data collection, as we heard from the president and also from the DG Santé, Mrs. Dora. And the general goal is to create a common and reliable knowledge through an observatory, but also through activity of dissemination and capacity buildings afterwards. And in order to do what? To measure the impact of food waste prevention and food poverty reduction. That's the core, that's the starting point. And that's these are the keywords we are bearing in mind where making decisions and taking actions during this project. To operationalize this goal, we decided to identify 3 milestones. This is a picture coming from the kickoff meeting which took place in Brussels last March. This was a really beginning of the story. And in that occasion, Angela was describing the 3 milestones of the project, which are the definition of common indicators for a data set structures and to create a data collection strategies, but also data collection platform, which will be at the basis of the observatory, and then to make an observatory something alive and interactive, and as a third milestone to promote and disseminate all these knowledge. So not only data, but above all information inside the network, FIBA network, but also outside. So addressing differentiated information to the different stakeholders depending on their different informative needs and expectations. To proceed in terms of activities, we decided to work on 2 legs. The first leg is about all the activities devoted to indicators. So reasoning on what these indicators might be inside the platform, why to measure performance, how to measure operations, and also how to quantify the impact, but also the outcomes, not only the impact in 4 different areas, mainly the economic, the social, the nutritional, and the environmental one. And that's why I found the intervention of the DG Santé really interesting, because she touched all the 4 areas, and that's why we are trying to identify a set of indicators which are suitable and adequate for all 4 areas. The second leg of on which we are working, let's say so, is about data collection platform. Here we are trying to operationalize the indicators and also to create an ICT common knowledge between the pilot group first, but also with the idea of enlarging this know-how also to all the members of FIBA network. That's why I must thank very much the Magic 8. I call them like that because they are the components of the pilot group, the representatives of the 8 countries, Belgium, Greece, Hungary, Ireland, Italy, Norway, Spain, and UK. They are very different organizations with different backgrounds and geographical contexts. That's why the discussion with them is so enriching and useful for us. The project exists thanks to them. Otherwise, we wouldn't have enough food for thought to find out some indicators and to create the platform. At the really beginning, we tried to set a calendar, which was hugely changed due to the COVID pandemic, as you can imagine. First of all, the first consequence was that we had to organize various online Zoom platform workshops and meetings, the green ones you can see on the table. But at the same time, we added also some other conference calls and interactions, both with the pilot groups, for example, with virtual tours, in which we had the chance, the precious chance to see through a guided tour, individual guided tour, how the pilot group components collect data, what type of data collection systems they use, what they do with data once collected, and what are the specificities and also the difficulties in gathering the necessary information to make decisions. So this was a precious occasion for us to get into detail with each country. But we also organized some conference calls with guest speakers just to organize their intervention inside the meetings, the workshops, and also with external experts, depending on the insights we needed to do with some specific topics and issues. For example, we are interacting in this phase, particularly with experts who are engaged with the economic area. So the first part of the indicators we are working on. Just to have a glimpse, an overall glimpse on our workflow, this is a creative Gantt. It's not a Gantt, of course, it's a workflow, but you can see the green boxes, which are the plenary sessions. We are right in the middle. We are here with a midterm meeting right today. We started in Brussels in March, and we are organizes also the third plenary session in December. In the meantime, we are working at 2 levels. Really horizontal level, creating the grounding base on the importance of indicators, the importance of operationalizing data and transforming them into information. And on the other side, share the knowledge about digital transformation, and also the importance of communicating, making data speak and make them visualize to the external users. On a vertical way, we are working on dedicated focused workshops, dedicating discussions and also tools and also external interventions to the 4 areas. So we organized a session on economic indicators, and the next, the further 3 ones will be about the social indicators, the nutritional indicators, and the environmental indicators. In the meantime, we are gathering the metrics, and we are interacting inside and outside the pilot group just to check and to validate both the definition but also the calculation method of the indicators we are collecting, in order to propose to the pilot group a set, discuss it, and then to improve it. Once improved and once shared, once approved, let's say so, this set of indicators will be put inside of the platform in order to make the data collection system work and to test it if it's suitable to our expectations and to our needs. Just to get into more detail with the singular workshops, this is the first one, the kickoff meeting. This was a chance to present the goal and the scope of the project, of course, but also to raise attention on the digital transformation and data collection system. The second occasion in terms of workshops was this first meeting online meeting due to the pandemic period, and in this occasion we started to have a clear idea on the state of the art. So about the indicators already used and already existent inside the data collection system of the single individual food bank of the pilot group. In that case, we needed to collect them. That's why on the lower part of the slide you can see a little box about the table used to collect all the KPIs, so the indicators they already use. Then we organized some virtual tours, and I thank all the countries very much, because they spent some time with us, once or more than once, for each country for 1 or 2 hours, and with plenty of information and details, and a virtual and real-time data entry and data mining process. So we had a chance to see really the differences and the varieties and the different routines they have from one country to the other. In the meantime, we started to work on 2 things, to prepare a first list of indicators in the economic area, and to create a taxonomy to respond to the answer, what are we talking about? Because sometimes we use the same word, the same issue, the same term, but we mean something different. So the concrete the best starting point is to share the words, and from them to start creating something new, or simply sharing what we already have. To stress the importance of making data speak, we decided to organize an umbrella workshop. I would name it like that, because it was the end of the story somehow, but we anticipated. Why I say that? Because talking about communication is about something which is important once we already have data, once we already have the platform, which is operative, which is open. But we decided to anticipate, just to make the pilot group imagine the final point. So the importance of having or working in the right way in order to have a data system which will enable them to make comparison. Etienne from Belgium uses a really nice expression, benchmarking, bench learning. So to interact from one food banks to the others, to make comparison between different geographical countries, or to represent all the food banks networks, so FIBA networks, to the external eyes. How is it possible? Sharing the knowledge, and we can build it through the identification of the indicators, through a very good platform, but then having in mind a strategy and telling the story in the right way and through the right channels, depending on our counterparts, the stakeholders. It's different to tell the story of FIBA and what it does and how it works to the eyes of private companies, or to an institution, or to a charity, or to private donors or citizens. So we can share the same data set, but create different stories. That's why it was so important to anticipate this workshop. Then rushing to the others, we started the vertical sessions. So the first one was about economic indicators, that's it. And for each vertical workshop, we planned also external presentation, food for thought, coming from experts working in industry, in supply chain, in research center in universities, and so on. So this was also the occasion to interact with different perspectives and, once again, different backgrounds. But at the same time, to discuss about the first selection of indicators, in this case, the economic ones. Now we are here, the midterm meeting. That's the occasion to take stock of the progress of the project. We are right at the middle of the journey. And from today, what is going to happen? We will keep on working, and we will prepare the second vertical session, which will be about social indicators with the same scheme. So a focus, a discussion on the selected indicators coming from the pilot group and coming also from the literature and from the external experts. And at the same time, an update on the platform and also external presentations, so external inputs and the feedbacks. The same for the nutritional indicators and at the end, the environmental ones, just to cover the 4 areas. We are not sure for the moment to have the same number of indicators for the 4 areas. It's not possible to imagine right now, but we are sure that we will do our best to identify at least 1 or 2 indicators for each area. The important thing is that this data, these indicators create meaningful data. It's not a matter of quantity, it's a matter of quality of information we want to create and to share, of course. And that's why it's so important also the digital platform, which is the part of project run by Fabio Fatticelli and Chiara Grossi, who will present later. This project is a journey. We are sure that it's well worth keeping on working on that also in the next years. It's something so important that it needs some improvements. The observatory will need to be something, a reality which is alive and interactive, which will be improved by using it. And in using it, we will discover also that we have some new informative needs, that we need some additional metrics or indicators, that we can aggregate data in different ways and create new information. So we will discover by living, of course, and by using the observatory once opened and once shared also with all the members of the FIBA networks. That's another goal for the next years. These are operational aspects. I don't want to spend too much time on that, but be sure that on the back side, we work also to prepare the activities, the meetings, and also after the workshop, we create some outputs, reports, and so on. This is part of the knowledge we want to share with the pilot group, of course, and to collect the indicators. We prepared some tables, very simple ones. For example, this was the first one, and for the moment we collected 83 indicators, which are transversal to the 4 areas, so the economic, social, nutrition, and environmental ones. I don't want to spend too much time on that. This is a screenshot of the first indicators, but if you're interested in, we can in due time share the full list. And as I said before, we are working right now also on creating a taxonomy, a sort of glossary with the principal main definitions of the most used and most common words and terms for our project, for example, food, ambient food, chill food, and so on, but also about the output, the outcome, the indicators, performance, and so on, just to share a common framework, conceptual framework. And the third, operational tools, is about the collection of the must-have indicators, not only the already used by the pilot group, but also the must-have, especially the must-have. In this case, we received different proposals from the pilot group. In some cases, the same indicator was called in different ways, for example, or they were calculated in different ways. That's why we harmonized these proposals, and we got to 13 indicators. For the moment, we've got 13 indicators. Starting from this list, 4 main questions emerged, I would say. And you can look through these 4 questions. For example, what is the cost of 1 kilo of food redistributed? What is the value? This is in in some way different, as we can imagine. What is the multiplier effect of food redistributed by a food bank or by FIBA? This is an important information that a company might be interested in, for example, but not only companies. And as 4 questions we've got also, can food banks generate some sort of efficiency for charity and for donors? In order to answer to these 4 questions, we are reasoning in finding out indicators which are at first level and second level indicators. It's not an easy and banal exercise. That's why we are working on that. We are spending more time, additional time on that. Also trying to identify the bottlenecks and the criticalities in finding out the right solutions and also the right calculation method or the calculation methods in plural way, because it might happen. That's why the discussion is ongoing. The same, more or less, will happen for social indicators, for nutritional indicators, and for environmental indicators. We don't know if the level of difficulties will be the same. For sure, we will try to cover all the 4 areas because the goal is to have a general glimpse on the singular aspects of the operations and also of the outputs and outcomes of food donations. So we need to treat all 4 areas and to measure somehow all the 4 areas. As a really last words I want to spend in this presentation, I must also thank all the people who came to our workshops and also who joined conference calls, parallel conference calls, giving us inspiration. They were a source of inspiration for us because they gave us their experience, their feedbacks, and then I want to thank all these professionals, John McGrath, Vivian Lawlord, Emma Togni, Bruce Lerner, and Giulia Battezzaki. They come from the industry, from food banks or charities. They come from social enterprises or academia. So this richness of knowledge and background is something which is key for us to push forward the discussion and the reasoning. And the same for the external expert, so Agarit Sigle, Lucia Pasca de Bisceglie, Mantas Butraitis, and Jan Barents. They were precious guests. They heard what we had to say, but also they gave some feedbacks, and that's why I thank them all. The very last slide is this one, and just to remember that the journey continues this year, but hopefully also for the next future. We are at the middle of this first phase of the journey, so we are here with the midterm meeting, but we are already working to keep on producing indicators, but also to creating the platform bearing in mind social indicators, nutritional indicators, and environmental indicators. For the moment, we are concentrated on the economic ones, but at the end, in December, we will be able to present the data set covering all the 4 areas. And that's why I thank all the participants, the pilot groups, the guest speakers, and also the professionals who are helping us to make this journey. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Laura. Well, I would like to thank you very much for your presentation because, well, it's really impressive because, well, we started, as you said, at the beginning of March, so 4 months ago, and it was also at the beginning of the COVID-19 in Europe, at the beginning of the lockdown in all our countries, and it's really impressive the path that we have done together in this challenging period. And so I would like also to thank you for guiding us and for spending a lot of time with us during the meetings, but also preparing the meetings and after all the workshops that we have organized with your expertise, your competence, but also with your enthusiasm. So I'd like to thank you very much.